ladies and gentlemen. I could have said gentlemen and ladies, to another episode of the What We Gonna Do podcast. I am your host, AJ. I'm glad to see y'all still here with me. You know what I mean? I've made some changes, done some things slightly differently, but surprisingly unsurprising is that y'all are still here. And I appreciate that. You can find me on social media at What We Gonna Do Pod. That's Instagram and Twitter. If y'all hear me drinking water, that's just because I got a little mucus or whatever. So don't mind me drinking the water, whatever. Hope y'all doing good. You know, this is the first episode, I guess, of the new year. You know what I mean? Hopefully y'all went and checked out my last two episodes. I have a quote because I haven't done this in a while. I kind of got away from doing my quotes, but I want to get back to doing that at either the beginning of the show or the end of the show. Y'all saw the name of the show, and we're going to get into all of that. You know, I don't know how much I'm going to talk or how little, but we're going to figure it out as we go. So, the quote is by Fabian Fredrickson. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. Now, I know y'all have heard that in various different ways, but I want y'all to let that sizzle in y'all spirit. I want y'all to let that sit on y'all brain or whatever. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. I got a few announcements, but before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about Christmas. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about Christmas or not. That's just, one of those things. It's kind of like, okay, do I do it? Do I not do it? I figured I wasn't going to do it, but something told me at least touch on it. So I had a good Christmas. This was a reflective year because with me getting older, I really have to look back on it from my daughter's perspective. And kids, they don't care. You know what I mean? I talked about this on social media, but kids don't really care. So my daughter Christmases have been far and beyond the Christmases that I've had throughout the years. I mean, much, much better. She got a bunch of stuff, and we was able to get some other family member stuff. Now, I'm not going to break it down detail by detail, but the thing that I thought about with my wife is just making sure that she understands that this is not normal, that this is not typical. I don't want her to get to a point to where she just doesn't appreciate these things. And yes, she deserves them. You know what I mean? I know a lot of parents will say you want to reward your kids. My daughter is definitely deserving of a reward for her work. But this is not necessarily a conversation about the reward. I just really want to make sure that even though we do something for her birthday and Christmas, so my daughter's birthday is actually before Christmas, so we do something on both because that's something I just wanted to do. You know what I mean? That's something my grandmother did because I have a young uncle, and that's how his birthday is set up. That's how my daughter's birthday is set up. My sister, her birthday is actually the day after my daughter's birthday. She's older, but anyway, that is not necessarily what she gets. I mean, she gets something, but it's not necessarily the same. So that's just something that we do. You know what I mean? Typically, we split between clothes and gifts. You know what I mean? So birthday is kind of like gifts. You may get a few toys or whatever, and then Christmas is mostly like toys and stuff like that. But I try to just make sure she doesn't sit there and she just expects it. She expects it. She expects it. Now, let me not say that or whatever. And if y'all ask me about what I'm not saying, I'm not gonna remember. So I'm not gonna say what I was thinking about because that would be me talking shit. And I just ain't even in the mood to talk shit right now or whatever. But y'all parents is something else, Y'all parents is something else, man. And I'm not gonna be a part of it. I'm gonna do my own thing. To hell with y'all. But that was the main thing, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna, like I say, I'm not gonna talk about what I get or my wife got and just, what everybody else get. But that was the main thing is that, her understanding that you are privileged. This is a privilege. You know what I mean? I talked about the fact that you have fathers. I talked about this on social media that you have fathers that want to do things for these different holidays, and unfortunately, different circumstances happen. and to reach out to the fathers that are unable to get gifts, that are unable to do Christmas like they wanted. They wanted to do it big and they're not able to do that. Because I know throughout the year, we talk about mothers. Mothers are very important, but I do feel like we don't talk about fathers enough. We don't highlight fathers enough, and we don't give actual fathers enough credit because that's what they're supposed to do. But you have that double standard when you talk about mothers and you say the same thing as far as mothers. That's what they're supposed to do. But I like to highlight the fathers and just talk about, hey, when we in this season, fathers are going through stuff as well, and just, keep them uplifted. You know what I mean? Give them strength. I mean, some fathers are unable to see their kids. You know what I mean? And that's killing them. Because that's their Christmas present. It's just being able to see their kids. You know what I mean? Being able to see their kids. So that was my little thing on Christmas. I didn't want to talk about it too much. If y'all want to hear more about it, maybe I'll do like something on IG or something like that. I'll go live or something. I'll kind of go in depth about Christmas this year. But that was the main point, is that, look, take care of your stuff, appreciate your stuff, understand that these things can be taken away, understand that everybody is not getting these same things. It's never a bragging type of thing. We don't even raise her to go and put the things that she has in someone else's face and say, hey, I have this and you don't. It's nothing like that. It's really just more so making sure that even as a 6-year-old, because she turned 6 this year, well, not this year, obviously it's 2020. At the end of 2019, she turned 6, and really just making her understand, like, look, I'm glad you're happy. You know what I mean? It's so funny, like, the stuff that she gets so happy about for Christmas or whatever, like, or for her birthday or whatever. And then some of the most basic stuff, like, literally, we trying to get her to smile and get her to be happy and all of this stuff for Christmas, and just with a few different things, because she's appreciative, but I think she's getting used to it. And like I mentioned before. So anyway, the other day I bought her some mouthwash that she asked for. She wanted some new mouthwash or whatever. So I went and bought her some mouthwash, and I brought it in the house, and she was like, yeah, and she jumping up and down doing dances, and I'm like, girl, we just bought you this, that's $100-something, this. You know what I mean? And you didn't give us that same energy. You know what I mean? I'm basically telling my daughter, you need to keep that same energy when we get this other stuff. But it's kind of funny, you know what I mean? Just the things that kids are just enthusiastic about and happy about. And yeah, I definitely got to tell y'all, because my daughter got some science stuff. She got some slime. She got this ice cream maker or whatever from my brother D, and we made all, we put all the stuff together. We did some of the magic stuff and the science kit or whatever, and we did some of the slime, and we made some ice cream or whatever. So we did quite a few things, and even I got some stuff. I'm still waiting on some stuff actually to come that has been delayed for whatever reason, but I'm definitely gonna post some of that. Because y'all need to see it, because it's some dope stuff or whatever. So I'll do something separate about that. So that is enough about Christmas. Let's get into these announcements. Teespring will be going away. I'm sorry, but the What We Gonna Do store is going to be going away. I'm gonna revamp it. I'm gonna do something different. I really tried to take my time out to do my research, and I had high hopes, and I did all these different things, and just different conversations with Teespring, and the quality of things and what I'm expecting is not going to be up to par. And so I'm gonna have to do this differently. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of print inventory where I have it like here at my house, taking up all this space. I really want it to be print on demand. So I'm still gonna figure that out, how exactly I'm gonna do it, because anyway, I just want to let y'all know it's still up for now. I think there are only two things that you can get: the mug and the sticker. So for now, if you want to get those two things, great. But as far as clothes and the rollout and all of the clothing things that I was going to launch, that's going to be on hold for now. So for any of y'all thinking, oh, he just put some stuff up with the logo, and no, that was just the introduction. Those are the introductory pieces. Those are things that people actually ask for with that logo, branding and stuff like that. I had a whole bunch of other stuff that was going to be rolled out, but anyway, you know what I mean. If you haven't already, please check out the premium podcast playlist exclusively on Podbean. There are 6 episodes up right now. They only cost a couple of bucks. So those playlists are long form playlists that I sat down, took my time on, put together, and put out for y'all. These are things that are going to get you through your week, get you through your month. Again, these are long form pieces of content that can only be accessed through the Podbean mobile app or through the podbean.com website. That's it. Only 2 places you can actually get those things or whatever. And I'm happy for those of you who only listen through Podbean or only listen through iTunes or Spotify or whatever. I appreciate y'all. If y'all can take some time out to leave some comments, leave some reviews on whatever platform you use. I'm done just saying, hey, go to iTunes, go to this. Listen, you take the time out and do that, I will find you, okay? And I'm going to reply and I'm going to comment or whatever. Wherever you're listening from, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Those are really the only announcements. I think for right now, you know what I mean? I really ain't got nothing else on my mind. Those are really the only announcements. So, to get into the show, and hopefully I can make this make sense by the end of the episode, but I feel like we have more strikes, like a strike on your record, you know what I mean? Like a strikeout, than checks, like accomplishments. Hopefully that analogy makes sense. You know what I mean? Checks over strikes. And of course, y'all heard Drake and, checks over stripes. That's kind of where I got it from, but stripes just didn't sound right. And I ain't really like Nike over Adidas or nothing like that. But I really got to thinking, like, all right, here are things that we can check off. And here are things that are like X's. It's like, okay, X bad food. You know what I mean? Like, you ate fast food. That's just one example or whatever. Like, this is an X. There are things in your life that are X's. There are things in life that are checks. I believe that we are prone to those strikes more than we are to the checks. And I just want y'all to take some time out to think more about the checks than y'all do about the strikes. I've always said the world is backwards since I was a kid because the things we should value, we don't. And the things we shouldn't value, we do. But thinking about this topic, and you know what I mean, this is pretty much a freestyle or whatever. So, like I said, I don't know exactly how long or how short this is going to be or whatever. But you should invest, this is your checks, in people, places, and things more than you waste on people, places, and things, your strikes. Those are things that essentially are going to determine where you're going to go in life. And what I mean by that, you can have checks in all of those areas, and you can have strikes in all of those areas. And you can have more strikes in all of those areas than checks. And that's not good. And then some people, it's just all out of whack. You know what I mean? You may have a bunch of checks over here when it comes to people, and then you got a bunch of strikes over here when it comes to food or eating or your health or you know what I mean, things. You know what I mean? Spending money on frivolous things or whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna break this down to hopefully drill that point home, make it make more sense. If y'all hear me talking in a circle, I'm sorry. When I say invest in people, and by people I mean your kids, your wife, your friends. Let's just say those, those are some examples. And it could be associates. It could be your network. What does your network look like beyond those close people? Or do you even have one in, say, like your business? So again, you may immediately think, okay, when I'm investing in people, I'm going to invest in my significant other, my kids, my friends, or whatever. I may even invest in myself, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I want to separate that from investing in people, because I want to talk about people that are external to, yourself as a person. But when I say invest in your kids, it's not just money. You know what I mean? It's not just that monetary value. I'm talking about reading a book with them, playing a video game with them, listening to them, teaching them, having them go to work with you. Like, I'm really talking about those day to day things that sometimes we just kind of gloss over, sometimes we skip over. Whether you have one child or you have multiple, I do believe you need to give the same amount of attention, if you can, to all of them and nurture them as best you can. Those are things I would consider checks. Strikes, obviously, when we're talking about kids, is literally not doing any of those things. It's the opposite. So it's like, man, you don't talk to your kid enough because you assume, hey, I'm taking care of the house, and the kid is going to understand that. And then when they get older, you feel like there's a language barrier between the two of you. Well, it's because you didn't put enough checks in that kid's life. You gave that kid a whole bunch of strikes. Daddy don't come to games. Daddy doesn't do this. Daddy doesn't do that. He was a strong man, but he didn't communicate with me. Those are strikes. Those things are going to come back around when you get older. When you talk about your wife, I mean, this should be clear cut. Checks. Seeing how she is. This is not just Valentine's Day. This is not just her birthday. This is communicating with her. This is sitting down to eat with her. This is taking her out to dinner. This is doing things that she likes to do equally as much as you have her to do things that you would like to do. This is engaging with those family members that you don't want to be around. This is engaging with those friends that you don't want to be around. And this is not anything about being fake. You have to find a healthy balance. But those would be checks. You know what I mean? Like, really thinking outside of yourself. And I think y'all kind of get where I'm going with this, but thinking about things outside of yourself so that you are kind of putting, that good over the bad. And obviously, the strikes: arguments, cussing, cheating, addictions, anything that is counter to that relationship between you and your significant other. Those are things that are strikes, and that's something that you have to take into account. It's like, okay, as I go through my daily walk, do I talk to her in the morning before she goes to work? Do I talk to her on lunch? Do I talk to her after work? Are there things that I used to do that I no longer do? Do I go get her car washed? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, am I adding more checks, more positivity to her life than I am adding negativity to her life? Because when I talk about investing, it's more for those other people. If you need to go back to that quote I gave you all at the beginning of the episode, please do so. And then you can come back to whatever time this is. Just make a marker and go back and think about that. You can, you know what I mean? You can do that right now, and you may not reap the benefits of that immediately. But trust me, it's better to have more checks over strikes. Friends, you know, same thing with the other two. You know what I mean? And this may be even a little bit more difficult if you have a family. You know what I mean? If you have a wife and kid or whatever the case may be, if you're taking care of somebody, who are your friends? You know what I mean? Who are your friends? How often do you contact them? How often do you check on them? See how they're doing? How often do you sit with them? You know what I mean? In person. Not just DMs and all this other stuff. How often do you send each other pictures of your kids? You know what I mean? It's not you know, emasculating or whatever word you want to use to if you're a man and you send your homeboy a picture of your daughter, that's a good thing. If y'all got kids, y'all should be sharing that. Why are we not doing the same things that women are doing? Even when it's pictures of ourselves. And I don't mean just sending your homeboy a picture of you, unless you fly and you just in a fly outfit or something like that. But I'm talking about you and your kids or whatever. You know what I mean? Make sure you make it appropriate, not nothing crazy, but those things would be considered checks with your friends, asking about their kids, asking about their relationship. giving them guidance, you know what I mean? Talking to them about work, stuff like that. Like that's adding to their life. Maybe they can have some type of takeaway. Strikes is you're never available. Y'all can't never link up. Y'all barely talk on the phone. When you do talk, it's always about you. When you do talk, it's always negative. Those are strikes. And this is not all just sunshine and roses when we talk about people, because investing in people is not just being available to them, it's also telling them things that could be instrumental to their lives, even if it's not nice. I ain't gonna say that again, y'all can rewind it back. When you are investing, because I would consider this a check as well, is that you need to check them. You need to correct them. You need to say how you feel and mean what you say, and you need to be honest with them. I feel like if you're not doing that, that's a strike. I wasn't honest with this person about this relationship I had with somebody else. I wasn't honest with them drinking all the time or partying all the time. I wasn't honest with my child about some of the things that I thought they shouldn't be doing, or them being on YouTube and them engaging with certain friends. Those are strikes. And yes, you have to give room for things that you may not engage in. You know what I mean? People are going to do different things, but lying is a strike. Omitting intentionally is a strike. And I talked about networking because I wanted to go beyond just those three as far as your kids, your significant other, and your family. What does your network look like? Just associates, just people that think about you. They may not be friends. Y'all may not have just crossed that line of being friends, but it's like, hey, these are cool people. These are people that are considerate. These are people that are trying to do these different things. And what does my network look like? How often do I communicate with them? Do I hear them? Do I contribute to their businesses or their conversations that they're having? Do I allow them to contribute to mine? You know what I mean? Or do I just close them out because of the space that I've put them in? Do I even network? Do I have anybody outside of just those three entities as far as kids, significant others, and friends? You know what I mean? And obviously, when we talk about, I could have also obviously said family just outside of that, but I really wanted to break it down by those top three, I would say. But your family might be in your top three or whatever your top three is. The whole point is that you need to be considerate more than you are inconsiderate. And you need to be aware of if you're checking off something, like accomplishing something, or if you're just striking out. You just strike, like you're not helping yourself. You're hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself. Places, I said people. Let's talk about places. Checks would be, and this is something I tell everybody, you know what I mean? The world is so big. It's much bigger than your little city or your little block or your high school or whatever the hell. Like the world is too big to stay in one place. That's really a strike. I know you may think it's a check and you may think it's safe, you may think it's this, but I think for your growth as a human, as a living with all these different cultures, you have to get outside of your little box. You have to be uncomfortable sometimes. You know what I mean? It's people that have never seen a beach, have never seen, because they keep giving themselves strikes. They don't even put themselves in a position to be able to travel. But then they don't even have the mentality for it either. Again, it's two strikes, you know what I mean, that you're holding against yourself, and even many more. So when I talk about checks, I'm talking about traveling. I'm talking about events, and not just sports or music concerts. I mean, other stuff as far as the arts. Life is short. And then you can put whatever else you want to put in there. You know what I mean? As far as like places, whether it be parks, sightseeing, whatever it is. I mean, that kind of falls under travel or whatever. But getting outside of, like I said, that city, getting outside of that state, getting outside of that country, I would consider that a check. You know what I mean? Just adding a check to your life and exposing yourself to so many more things that are beyond what maybe other individuals around you know, what they've done. And this is not with regard to anyone else's thoughts. I know I'm saying this, but what I mean is someone else's negative thoughts. What I'm trying to give you is a positive check. It's like, look, that's a check. When you show your son something, I remember I had a behind the scenes conversation with Fresco from the Podcast Brothers, and just commending him because he's showing his son something that I hope, and he hopes the same thing, that's gonna stay with him forever. Like there are certain memories that can't be taken away. My father took me to Disney. Well, I can't remember. I can't remember exactly where they went, but my father took me here. That's a hell of a memory. I'm a kid to where I don't know if my father ever took me outside of the state with him anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that memory. I'm never gonna have it. You know what I mean? If you all don't know, my father's no longer here, but I'm like, yo, that's a check, bro. Like, don't you know what I mean? Like, again, some things we think are strikes are really checks, and some things we think are checks are really strikes. There's nothing wrong with showing your son things. I've been able to show my daughter things that in 6 years that took me 32 years to see. Events. And again, like I say, not just music or sports, but whatever different events, you know what I mean? Even if it's some type of musical, even if it's a play, even if it's a light show, um, ice skating, whatever I guess you could consider events. Um, but you taking the time and the initiative to say, hey, I want to go see this artist. I want to go see this game. I want to go see, you know, what's a good one? You know what I mean? To Kill a Mockingbird. You know what I mean? The play or whatever the case may be. Those are things that I would consider checks. You know what I mean? And I think that those again are beneficial for your growth just as a human. I think those are good positive things. Those are things that you can share. Those are things that you can be proud of. Again, this is not to gloat or to boast or anything like that, but these are checks to say, man, hey, I did this. You know what I mean? Like, I've been able to do this. I've been fortunate. I put myself in a position and I made a choice to go do these things. Like I said, life is very short. Now, when I talk about, and I got to talk about some more people, and I got to talk about some other stuff because I kind of skipped it. So we'll go back to people here in just a minute. But the strikes in that same area is the liquor store. We're talking about places, the shoe store, the clothing store, the strip club, the hood. I know this may sound bad for some of y'all. I know this may hurt y'all feelings. Like, hold up, those are strikes. I don't have no problem with treating yourself. I don't have no problem with having fun. I think that when it starts to affect the people around you, when it starts to affect your money and just your other bigger goals, that's when it becomes a strike. Even if it's just messing with your conscience, that's when it becomes a strike. So again, I said the liquor store. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. Buying liquor, buying swishers, buying cigarettes, Like you spending more money, so much money on that, you can't even pay a bill. That's what I mean by strikes. And I done seen it too many times where we will all, we would say, like, dude, how is it that you can afford this and can't afford this? And you got to pick your poison. If it's weed, if it's this, if it's that. Again, we talking about places, but if your poison is that liquor store, that's a strike. It's, you got to strike it out. If your poison is that shoe store, that's a strike. You can have all the shoes in the world, man. You can be whatever, you can be a sneakerhead, but if you homeless, that's a strike. You got to sell them. You got to do something. You know what I mean? If you literally, and again, I seen somebody posting this on social media, just talking about um, fashion and swag, and this person basically saying that you don't have to be dripped in designer. You know what I mean? That it's more about style and how you make it than it is about just having some designer shit or whatever. And I would agree with that. And like I say, designer stuff is cool, but again, if it's impeding your ability to pay your car note or your insurance or your son's daycare, your child's daycare, or whatever the case, or tuition, that's a strike. Same thing with the clothing store, shoe store, clothing store, same thing. Strip club. I know y'all probably like, come on, bro, why the strip club? Again, I never really understood, I understand it now, but I was just like, yo, how can you spend all your money on weed? How can you spend all your money on dope? How can you spend all your money at the strip club? Like people who literally go out to the regular club and the strip club like every day. And I know some people's like, man, they balling, they having fun. That's a strike. Most of them people that I know or I've seen that have done that, that is a strike. Because it's a whole bunch of other fucked up shit that they got going on in their lives that they don't want to deal with, that they don't want to address. So they're replacing it with these things. Again, hey, if you want to go, cool. But I think you need to have some balance, some restrictions. You know what I mean? And that flows into the casino. You know what I mean? Because obviously, you're going there to win money. You're going there to have fun. But then there's a line you cross when you start getting into debt. And that's what I mean by all of these places where I would say this is a strike. Because these are things that are now taking you into the negative. These are things that are not positive. These are things that are temporary. These are things that are short term and not long term. Do you get the balance? And like I said, I meant to talk a little bit more about people, so let me go back to that. And then we're actually going to go to the next thing, which is things. But a few strikes as far as people: bad friends, women outside of your relationship, men outside of your relationship, just in the world, bad family. Those are some common things I would say are strikes. You have friends that would love nothing more than to pull you down with them than to lift you up. That's a strike. You have to figure out who is in your circle. Flaw 700, again from the Podcast Brothers. Shout out to the Podcast Brothers, man. He sent me a link with some books today. Now, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to think about me. He didn't have to do any of that. That's a check for me. I would consider that a check. Because he could have sent me a link to Pornhub or whatever, you know what I mean? He didn't do that. Not to say that would have been a strike, but I'm just saying that probably would have been a strike. But he sent me a check, and I shared that with some other homeboys. And those homeboys was more excited than they was like, wow, hey man, brother, like I had to check this out or whatever. And I'm like, cool. I'm glad. I'm going to check it out myself. I had to make sure it was legit, but I'm going to check it out. That's a check. All this other stuff is strikes. When your friends are not, they sending you fight videos or world stars, or they sending you dumb shit. Like they only want to talk about dumb shit. They only want to do dumb shit. They only want to engage in dumb shit. They never want to talk about relationships. They never want to talk about business. They never want to talk about family. Those are strikes. Those are things that you need to be aware of. They always want to take. They never want to give. That's a strike. You need to make sure with your friends that you have more checks than strikes, or you need to move those friends around. You know what I mean? You need to distance yourself. If that friend's always trying to take you to this neighborhood, which is, talked about places that strikes, that's a strike. It's like, bro, I'm not doing that. I can't be rolling with you over here. I can't be riding with you. I can't be taking this chance. I'm going to drive my own car. Hey, we can see each other when we see each other. We can meet up and have drinks, but there are certain things that I can no longer do with you. I'm not living like that no more. You acknowledging this is a check versus this being a strike. When I talk about women, y'all know temptation is real as a motherfucker. Temptation is real. So this more so, I guess it's not just infidelity, man. It's just a wandering, idle mind and idle time. And flirting and just whatever you want to consider. And I don't mean women friends or male friends, like people who are positive about your relationship, your significant other. They care about you. They want to see you doing good in business. They want to see you finish school. They want to see you start this podcast. Those are checks. The strikes are those people who are telling you to get a divorce, who are sending you some fishy DMs, who are not with the best intentions for your life. Those are strikes. Especially depending on what you want to do and where you're trying to go. And it's like, all you want to do is be cool with me for money. You want to be cool with me for what I provide. Again, similar to friends, like you want to be cool with me because of what I can give you. Or you want to be cool with me because of what you can give me. You know what I mean? It's not mutually beneficial. It's just some ulterior motives. And those are the things that are strikes. It's like, okay, you've crossed the line. I got to distance myself. I can't entertain you. I can't be playing that type of game. Even if it's an ex or whatever you want to call it. It's like, all right, I got to make a decision. Because you're not adding to my life anymore. Like, you trying to take me down. You trying to take me out. And I can't have that. I got other responsibilities. You ain't thinking about your kids. You ain't thinking about my kids. You're not thinking about your relationship. You're not thinking about my relationship. Whatever the case may be, that's a strike. And family is a hell of a strike. I tell my wife all the time, my family gonna always be blood. I'm gonna love them till the day that I die, but I don't fuck with all of them. I'm sorry. I just gotta keep it a buck. And I don't feel like you should have to either. And this is not just, this person did something to me in my past. And it's a multitude of things. I think, again, checks over strikes. So you have different family members. You got some family members that talk about you like a dog, talk about you behind your back, ain't never got nothing positive, ain't never help you with nothing. Those are strikes. People that they ain't never did nothing themselves. They don't take care of their own kids. They don't have no business for themselves. They ain't got no place to lay their head. Those are strikes. Love them, but it ain't a check. A check is that cousin that is a VP, is a CEO, is doing this, is working on this, is encouraging you, is uplifting you. Those are checks when it comes to your family. And I don't mean just, the common thing of, they help me when I'm down. You know what I mean? Some people help you just for the sake of themselves. You know what I mean? It's or out of obligation. And again, you could call that a check, whatever the case may be. But I'm talking about people who are genuine, ain't looking for nothing in return. They just love you as family and treat you as such, and they do right by you. Those are checks. Those bad family members that always trying to get you in trouble, they always trying to get you to hit a lick, that's a strike. Those people that you always got to bail out, that's a strike. Those are the people that you need to look out for. And like I said, I wanted to go back and touch on that because I kind of, unfortunately, I kind of skipped over things. When I talk about things, I mean like books, audio books, bills, car maintenance, 401k, stocks. Sound like some good shit, right? Some good things. You know what I mean? You buy some books. You know what I mean? Hopefully you read those books. You get you some audio books if you don't feel like sitting down reading those audio books. Bills, taking care of your bills so your bills ain't piling up. That's a strike. When you're just letting your bills pile up. It feel good to pay them bills. That's a check, right? You gotta pay them bills, man. You don't want your stuff to get cut off. Car maintenance, taking care of your car is so important. We all know why. Even though they have Lyft, Uber, they still got taxis and whatever else means of transportation that you have, depending on which region you're in. Take care of your car. Get your oil change, get your tire rotation, get your 40,000 mile maintenance, whatever the case may be. That's a check. Keep that car running. That, you know what I mean? That's a check. 401k, that's a check. That's a double check, to be honest, or whatever. If you are offered, if you have a 401k, that you can opt into, go ahead and do that. Take that time. I talked about it on separate episodes. Making sure you do your percentages and you increase them. This the easiest way to do it is if you don't feel comfortable jumping to that 5% or whatever the company match is, increase it year by year by 1%. You won't even think about it. You won't even realize what it is or whatever. That's a check on a check. Stocks. Figure out stocks. Just learn them. Pay attention. Get an understanding of them. And then think about what you want to do. Short term, long term. Just figure out and get your stock portfolio together. All of those things are checks. Now, y'all may be wondering, because I even had to think about this. Well, what's a strike? Because you talked about clothing stores and you talked about this. A strike, when we talk about things, it's just, I pretty much covered it or whatever, but a strike is, a strike is a strike could be porn. A strike could be video games. A strike could be social media. You know what I mean? I would consider that a thing or whatever, I guess. Yeah, a strike could be a few different things that you spend money on and you don't even know where the money went. You don't even remember buying it. A strike could be food. You know what I mean? Like, a strike could be a few things when we talk about things. And I think you just need to be aware of that. Like, okay, what's a check? And what's a strike to me? If you like porn and that's your thing, you know what I mean? That's your thing, whatever it is. But if you doing that all day and all night, that's a strike. If you can't do nothing else, if you can't have a healthy relationship because you got this thing, that's a strike. I'm sorry, but that's a hell of a strike. Not paying your bills, that's a strike. Like I said before, that's a big strike. You got to take care of your bills. You got to take care of your car. If you don't, that's a strike. You cutting yourself off at the knees, like literally. You killing yourself. If you're not like taking care of what am I doing? Like, am I engaging in good things? You know, again, video games similar to porn. If you sitting there and you on a video game all day, every day, that's a strike. Like, if you don't make no money from porn, if you know what I mean, you might get some happiness, but you ain't making no money. You probably spending money or whatever. If you playing video games all day, you buying video games all day, that's a strike. You ain't making no money. You making somebody else billions, millions, whatever the case may be. That's a strike for you. If all you do is sit on the couch and watch TV, that is a strike. All right? It may make you feel better, but it's like, hey, you got to get up. You got to get to moving, man. You got to go out and see a movie, but you don't need to see a movie all the time, all day. You ain't spending no time with nobody. You ain't getting to know nobody. You ain't even getting to know yourself. You just letting this TV take your mind away. Social media, that's a strike if you are just mindlessly on it and consistently on it, and you cannot get away from it. But again, it ain't doing nothing for you. You may get a few jokes off, you get some followers, you might get some DMs, but that's a strike. You ain't making no money, you ain't making no profit, you're not doing anything long term that's gonna set you up for your future. You're not benefiting your kids, you're not benefiting your spouse. That's a strike when it comes to social media. Those are things that I would consider strikes. Again, this whole thing is just checks over strikes. Really take some time, and again, with this being a new year, you got all these different people talking about goals and resolutions, and they talking so big and so this and so that. And I really wanted to just break it down into these smaller pieces of consider this a check. Like, people don't even want to count their wins no more. Like, people count their losses more than their wins. They count the strikes. That's all we care about is how many strikes we can rack up. We don't care about the wins no more. We don't, you know what I mean? Like, we just care about the losses. And the wins are important. To the smallest one that you can make in your day is important. Last but not least, yourself. This should be the most important check. Should be the most important. When I talk about investing in yourself, getting those check marks, those checks, I'm talking about your appearance. Do y'all know what I mean by appearance? Like, let's say putting clothes on, right? Let's just say putting clothes on. When I talk about your mind, your mental state, where's your mind at? Your brain. How sharp are you? How intelligent are you? Your body. Now that's, again, this appearance, just gonna say clothing and dressing and stuff like that. Your body, whether it be your hair on your head, your hair on your arms, your legs, your underarms, your chest, whatever it is, your body, your weight, your emotions. You know what I mean? Now again, these are things that I want you to have some checks in these areas, and I'm gonna go into it here in a second or whatever. But your emotions, it's like, okay, what's my emotional state? Like, that should be a check. You should try to make sure that's a check, your emotional state. My relationships, what's that looking like? Do I have one? Do I not have one? How good is it? How bad is it? You should have some checks. Spirituality, I mean, who do you call on when you have no one left to call? That's something I think about. You know what I mean? Because I be wondering about people like, what do you do? Do you go to some of those strikes that I talked about earlier? Do you go to some of those other checks that I talked about earlier? What do you do when it comes to that? Your appearance, man, taking care of how you present yourself to the world. I've said on multiple episodes, and this is something that I learned a long time ago, is that I feel like I'm a reflection of myself as well as my community, as well as my family. My appearance is important. Now, some days, yeah, are going to be more relaxed, but I don't necessarily believe that should be an everyday thing. Um, I'm not going to get into some of the places when we're talking about appearance, but I'm just talking about for you. I think it's important for you to have something to say about your own appearance. You look in your closet, you see these clothes, and if you got some bummy ass clothes, that's a strike. I'm sorry. My friend told me, he said, look, man, you don't have to go and try to buy the whole mall. He said, bro, just try to get one pair of shoes, one of these, one of these. He said, and when you get some more money, he said, add on to it. And I was like, man, that take too long, bro. I want this, that, and the third. What I realized is he was right. He was right. And if you gotta shop at different places to accomplish that, Burlington, TJ Maxx, Walmart, at the end of the day, trust me, a lot of people ain't gonna know the difference. I'm not gonna get into that, but that is a check if you are intelligent enough and confident enough. And again, this kind of goes into some other checks, but that is a check if you can sit there and get yourself together with whatever means that you have, and you can sit there and you can go through your stuff and say, okay, I need to get rid of this, I need to get rid of this, because if you're a hoarder when it comes to clothes, that's a strike. I don't care what anybody says, male or female. You're a hoarder, that's a strike. You need to go through that stuff. You need to donate that stuff. That's a check, all right? Donating to people who can actually use that stuff, who can actually wear that stuff. I'm not telling anybody to become a minimalist, but if you're a hoarder, that's a strike. I don't care what you say or whatever. Take care of your appearance. Look nice, not just for other people, but for yourself. That's a check. A strike is when you only do it for other people. A strike is when you don't even do it for yourself. That's a strike. Your mind. What can you do about your mind? Peace. Be my peace, baby. Yeah. That's a yellow beezy. Mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's a strike for sure. You know what I mean? I think, Nick, Miss Nicole Banks, she talked about this, I think, on the timeline, like the other day. She didn't, she asked a question about, do you think, the world needs therapy or something like that? And that would be a check for your mind. That would be a check. That wouldn't be a strike. I don't care what nobody say. That'll be a check if you can get therapy in some form or fashion that can help you. A strike is when you just like literally you got so much stuff clouding, like you can't think. That's a strike. Like, how can I explain it? Because people have talked about it, over the years or whatever. But I mean, like, literally, you got so much going in your head and you need to quiet all that noise. I've been that type of person. That was a strike for me, having too much on my mind at one time, trying to carry too much personally. That was a strike for me. Carrying the weight of the world, that was a strike for me. Um, Not thinking enough, that was a strike for me. You know what I mean? So overthinking and thinking too little, that's a strike. You need to find a healthy balance because you need to be mindful of other people and not just only care about what's going on in your head. There are other people that are going through stuff too in this world. Your significant other is going through something. Your child is going through something. We talked about that with some of these other checks. So when I talk about mine, it's just figuring out what can I do to calm my mind? What can I do to balance my mind? What can I do to make sure I have a healthy mind, an aware mind, a sound mind, that I'm not losing my mind? You know what I mean? Checks. Your emotional state, this kind of ties into mind, I would say. But are you always sad? I would call it a strike. I'm sorry. Are you always depressed? I'll call it a strike. Are you always happy? That could be a strike, but I'm gonna give you a check. You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody is always happy. I think if you're telling people that, that's probably a strike. because nobody's always happy. Even Kevin Hart, I don't believe it. I think that humans are going to go through the wheelhouse of emotions in their life. There are going to be highs and lows. And I think that you need to monitor and check your emotions. That's a check. You being able to check your emotions, learning over time, to be, what is it? Slow to speak and quick to listen. Like, that is a control that I think all of us need, and that's a check when we talk about our emotions, because people talk about it all the time. Man, I let my emotions get the best of me. I let my emotions get me to this point with my wife and another woman, and you know what I mean. I let my emotions get me to. I think it's important to have control of your emotions. That's a check, and again, it goes into the mind or whatever too. But you need to be aware what influences my emotions internally and externally. Like, how do I influence my own emotions? And how do I convey my emotions to other people, and vice versa? How do other people influence my emotions, and how do I take in information when it comes to my emotions? That's a check, is you just taking that time out to get your emotions, or at least try to get your emotions into some type of alignment. That's men, that's women, whoever. Relationships. Again, this is all investing in yourself. Relationships. If that is something that you wish to have, seek good relationships. Seek healthy relationships. Seek healthy people. Those are things that I would consider checks. Now, I already talked about some of the things that I consider strikes, but those are the things that, for yourself, and I'm talking about, like I said, whether it's significant other, family, friends, work, how are your relationships? And you can see where your strikes are just by looking at your relationships, and what you do in your relationships and who you are in those relationships. You can see your strikes. You can see your checks. Like, okay, I'm not so good at work with my boss. And now, if I don't want another job, that's a strike. But if I am looking for another job, maybe with another company, you might consider it a check, but it may be a strike as well. How can I improve my work-life balance? That's a thought that is a check. Like, okay, I need to do this. I need to get from under this manager. I need to figure this out. And that's a check. How can I get to another company? How can I get the education or the experience that I need to move up or make more money? That's a check. And again, you can just break it down for yourself when you talk about relationships, and what are the checks in my life and what are the strikes. I want a relationship so bad, and it's not working out. Person after person after person. But I keep looking out. I keep looking at everybody else, and I don't look in. That's a strike. I'm sorry. That's a strike. And it might be everybody else, but at some point you have to look at yourself. That's your check. When you finally take that time to look at yourself, that's your check right there. That's important. And again, there's so many different levels when we talk about relationships, but you can see toxic situations and toxic people, which I've already talked about, different people, and those are your strikes. And then you can see the positive people, and those are your checks. And again, your relationship with yourself, which is all of these things, your appearance, your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirituality, is very important. Your relationship, how well do you know yourself? What do you want to be? What do you like? What do you dislike? Those are great questions to ask. And if you can answer them, those are checks. If you can't answer them, those are strikes. I'm sorry. And you need to work on turning those strikes into checks. Spirituality is always a convert. It's so divisive. this is another thing that I won't say when it comes to spirituality, but you know, if I can almost say it, science can't answer everything, and neither can spirituality. And there are things in science that are backed up by spirituality, and maybe things spiritually that are backed up by science. I think a lot of things are intertwined, but you know, scientists can't reproduce certain things. They haven't been able to yet to prove that science is this exact. It's a lot of guesswork. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of testing, and they haven't been able to prove everything. There's so many things and shows about the water, and this is not a tangent because I'm gonna get back to the main point, but just how undiscovered the water is, even though the water on Earth takes up 40% of the Earth, whatever it is, and it's like, oh, this is still undiscovered because as much science and developments that we've had in X amount of years, they've still been unable to do this. And with religion, how can you prove it? How can you? My whole thing is always believe in what you want to believe with all your might. And we're going to find out whenever we leave this world. Because you got stuff you can't explain to me and prove to me. And I got stuff that I can't necessarily explain to you or prove to you. That's fine. We can coexist. And we're going to find out. I know where I'm leaning towards. You got the Big Bang Theory. You got Let There Be Light theory. And then you got other religions and stuff like that, and the oldest religion and stuff like that. But spirituality, I had to say that for my science people, people that don't believe in spirituality or whatever, y'all just think we exist and we came out of nothing and we go back to nothing when we die or whatever. For my people who have something, whatever it is, even for my science people, what do you do? Like, what is that foundation? Where do you go? What is your resolve? What makes you steadfast? What are your beliefs based on? Those I would consider checks, just asking those questions and then finding those answers. What I consider strikes is just willful ignorance. That you don't believe in anything, that you don't believe in, like you have no moral compass. Everything is permissible. Everything is okay. And I don't know, maybe there are religions out there that are like that. I don't necessarily believe in that. That's something that I would consider a strike, and that goes into all of these other things. Because I think when you're investing in yourself, spiritually, you need some type of enrichment. That's just my thought. You know what I mean? That you need to have some checks in that area. You need to get some type of comfort. You need to get some type of answers. You need to get some type of belief for yourself, and not something that's telling you go out and murder people and rape people and do bad things. I'm gonna call those strikes. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna call those strikes. But if that's your spiritual life, is like it's all negative stuff. It's telling you to do negative stuff, and there is nothing to turn to, only bad stuff. I would consider that a strike. And you need to find some checks. You need to get you some therapy. You need to find somewhere to turn. I think that's it. I probably could talk a little bit more. Y'all probably, maybe y'all wanted me to elaborate a little bit more, but on spirituality specifically. But I think I've talked enough. Hopefully, you've found something to take away from this conversation. Checks over strikes. Go back to the top of the episode. Listen to that quote. I appreciate y'all for taking the time out to listen to these episodes, to go visit the link tree, to leave me a review, to leave me a comment, to hit me up on social media, to follow me. I appreciate it all. You know what I mean? This is a long one. It's not one of my longest ones, but it's definitely a long one. So for now, Remember, you can find me on social media at What We Gonna Do Pod. That's GONE. You can find the premium podcast playlist exclusively on Podbean. If you want to get a mug or a sticker, you can go to my Teespring. You can find the link to the store on my link tree. If you have any questions or anything you want to send me directly, email me whatwegonado@gmail.com. Shout out to everybody that fuck with me. Shout out to everybody that keep fucking with me. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed this one. I'm out, y'all. Till next time. Peace.